Hey guys, welcome to my summer direction crochet along. This is the overlay mosaic version. We're just doing foundation rows today. I do have other tutorials on creating these foundation rows, but this one is specifically going to give you stitch counts for this crochet along, okay? If you're going to do a full length blanket, you're going to do 9 repeats. That is too many for my video, so I'm only going to be showing you 1 repeat's worth. But I will explain how you keep going for a larger repeat. We're going to start with our slip knot. Of course, you probably have a different way of doing it, but there we go. We put it on our hook. And I like to do a chainless foundation row, which really means I chain 2. And then I go in that first chain here, yarn over and pull it up. Yarn over, pull it through 1. That counts as the chain that's on the bottom. Then yarn over and go through 2, that's your single crochet. We made 1 stitch. So you can see that if you go into that spot that we said was a chain, we yarn over and pull it up, yarn over, pull it through, that makes a chain on the bottom, pull it through twice, that makes a single crochet. So you can see that we are making the chains and the single crochet all at the same time so that our foundation row in purple can be as long as we want it without really having to count chains, then go back and get to the end and realize we didn't have enough chains. Now what do? We're going to pull it all apart. We're going to chain 180 again, right? Like sometimes the chains are really long, 300, 200. It's too many. So I like doing it this way. Then I can just count as I'm going. You can see here, this is like the top. This would be the chains on the bottom. We've got these little V's just like normal. So we've got 1 stitch, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've done 6 chainless foundation single crochet. That is how I prefer to do it. If you want to count, you can chain the repeats here. If you're reading the pattern, it says you want chainless single crochet technique to create repeats of 18 plus 9 single crochets. So that's when you're doing this, you would count 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we keep going. 7. Okay, so this is our 18th stitch. Now, if you're doing a bunch of repeats, that's what you're going to do again. You're going to go 18, 18, 18, 18, 18. Probably if you do 9 like a blanket, you'll do 162. Then the plus 9 means that regardless of how many repeats you've done, you have to have those 9. So you would maybe have 18, 18, 18, 18, however many times. Then we're going to do another 9 because you always have to have them. Okay, so that's how we've got, you can count our stitches again here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27. 18 plus 9. So we've got 27. So if you are doing 9 repeats, you have the 9 that you have to always have, plus 18, 18, 18, 18. And 18 times 9 plus the extra 9 gets you 171 single crochet for your foundation row. If you're doing chains, that means you need to do 171 plus another chain for turning, and then 171 back. So you're actually chaining 172 so that you can single crochet back 171 so that you'll have the same number of stitches regardless of which technique you use. If you're doing a different amount of repeats, your numbers will be different. There's a nice chart on my pattern, but you can just do the math as well, so you can have any size that you like. Then the scary part of overlay mosaic, if you're new to overlay mosaic, here's the part that people get scared with. They cut it. So here I just do another little through there so that when I cut it, I can pull it and I got a little knot. And that is our foundation row 0. It's actually row 0. For my written pattern, when you're following along, we are now switching to the contrasting color, and we are on row 1, did our slip knot, And joining stitch means that we go through both loops just like a normal single crochet. Ta-da! Then we have single crochet 4 stars and single crochet 3. That can't be right. Why would the stars be interrupting our row? Well, it's because of those repeats. Even though these stitches, because it's a foundation row and it's just going to be all the same, it's still written in the technique for the rest of the pattern, okay? So don't let it confuse you. What it's really saying is just do single crochets all the way across, because this is your second foundation row. And when you're doing a single crochet, if you read the key and you're used to overlay mosaic, these are actually single crochet in the back loop only. So this, if you're used to doing overlay mosaic, you will already know that. So we got 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you're using stitch markers, now's where you would put it, because now you need to count your repeats. So then we have 18. Oops, make sure you get the stitch in here. There's a reason this yarn was discontinued. It splits sometimes. I think people didn't like that. So we're going to count it. I don't actually want to put a stitch marker here, but that's where you'd put it if you wanted to, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So if you are doing repeats and you need a stitch marker here now, put a stitch marker, do 18 again. Stitch marker 18. Now that you've reached the end of your row, it says do 3 single crochet. Of course, you have to remember that that means in the back loop. And our end stitch, if you read the key, tells you that you go under both loops like a normal single crochet. Again, that locks it in tight. Do that extra, it looks like you're going to do a chain, but really you're cutting it and you're pulling it all the way through, so it's that a knot. And that is your 2 foundation rows. Now, this is how you start every pattern, but because this is the foundation row tutorial for my summer direction crochet along, we're going to keep going with just a couple more. That's kind of the foundation of this pattern. All right, now purple, because this one was row 0, the next purple is going to be row 2. Go under both loops. The joining stitches have to be nice and strong on the ends there. Then it says double crochet, and if you read the pattern key and all those random notes, or if you're familiar with it already, we're going to yarn over and we're going to drop it down, and we're going to use that front loop, because all these blue ones were in the back loop. It leaves the front loop open. We're going to finish our double crochet, and you can see that these are US terminology, which is something I only learned like 2 years ago, that there's a difference. The UK terminology says double crochet, but they mean something else. So here we are. We've got 1 double crochet, and then we're going to do 3 singles. You have to remember to skip this one. So this is the stitch that we skipped because we put a double crochet instead, which means our next single crochet goes over here, and they're always in the back loop. I just have to get my yarn in the right place first. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and then that's our star, so you can move your stitch marker up or however you're doing it. And we're going to go in the back loop again, all the way across, single crochet 18. There we go, this is 18, so that's the star ends. Now it tells you to do 2 more single crochets, 1, 2, and now a double crochet. Now it's hard to count, but this is the one that we're going to be skipping. So you go down to pick up this loop instead, and because we're right at the end, it's actually the last loop you can get. These end stitches have used up both loops, so there are no more loops. And you have to yarn over first, don't forget. I was just trying to show you the loop, I forgot that part. And that's the end here, but we're going to put that end stitch right in here under both loops. That keeps everything locked in tight. Your tails on here, they don't have to be that long. If you plan on doing something with them, you'll want them longer. I have a fancy tool that like braids hair, and you can use it for these to twist them. Then you need them longer to do that. You can have them shorter if you plan on putting an envelope border. It's up to you how much yarn you want to use. I do like keeping the first 3 rows a bit longer than normal, just because that's where I most frequently make a mistake in my counting. So usually when I'm doing this, I just pinch right at the end, and that's plenty. You don't really need more than that. These ones are a bit longer. So this is row 3. We got 0, 1, 2. This will be row 3. We're putting our joining stitch in there. You got to keep that little tail out the way. Goes under both loops, and then it makes a single crochet. And then we have 4 single crochets. 1, they're in the back loop, don't forget. 3 and 4. And then the star tells us to do single crochets again. Now I'm not really going to count, because it's really just single crochet all the way across, and then when you get to the end, outside of the star, it's again just more single crochets. These foundation rows are set up like this mostly because I first designed using the interlocking crochet technique, and it needs these lines on the bottom to set things up, and then when I just transfer the chart, I just count the chart for Mosaic Crochet. I don't change the pattern. So if you find that you don't like having these rows on the bottom, you can skip them. It's going to change your row count later if you're following the videos. And I'll say something like, I'm on row this, and you'll be like, oh right, I skipped the beginnings and my number's off. So if you think you're skilled enough to do it and you don't like these stripes at the bottom, go for it. But this is how the pattern's written, so that's how I'm doing it in the video, okay? Now you can see that our double crochet, that will be our final stitch before we do our end stitch under both loops. And that is also another thing about my patterns, that I don't really need to have those lines on the edges. But again, with interlocking crochet, that's how it works for that. So that's why once you get farther, you'll see that the purple kind of, it goes like dark, light, dark, and up here, other than you're joining an end stitch, it'll have dark, light, dark as well. These foundation rows are a little bit less than exciting, but you got to get them done if you want to do the pattern. So we're gonna put them here anyways. Now if you're looking at the pattern, you can see it has these brackets. We did our joining stitch, now it has bracket, and that just means that you repeat what's in the bracket 2 times. We're gonna go double single, double single. Unlike the stars, where you can repeat between the stars as many times as you want. You're gonna do those 18 stitches for only 1 repeat like me, or you're gonna do it 3 times, 5 times, 9 times for a full blanket. It's up to you. The brackets tell you how many times you have to do it. You can only do it 2 times, otherwise that's not how the pattern works. Okay, that's the difference between the brackets and the stars. So double crochet, we're using that front loop down here. Then make sure you skip it here, because that's, you don't want to add stitches. And then the single crochet in the back loop. That's how overlay mosaic works. And then where are you gonna, this purple front loop, that was part of this, it all lines up. So the next one has to be down here. Double and single. So to make sure you skip that one in the back so that everything lines up. And then that's where our star begins. We're going to do single crochet 18, or you're going to do it 18, 18, 18, 18, 18 all the way across. You might need to use a stitch marker, because as you can see already, it went double single, and now if I'm counting 18, I want to make sure not to include this one. Otherwise, my count will be off. So that's why the stitch marker comes in handy. I'm only doing a single repeat, so it's easy enough for me to remember that there's 1 here. And now this is 1, 2, 3. Looks like 4, but we're actually counting it as 3, right? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Now, if you are counting 18, 18, 18, or if you just got to the end and you're not sure where you are, here's what the end looks like. We'll have the end stitch under the both lips there. This will be a double crochet to line up with that double crochet. This will be the single crochet, and this is the double crochet that makes the border wall so that the lines are straight on both the edges. They kind of match, they mirror each other, the front, the start and the end. And stitch under both, keep your little loops out. Although some people do crochet over those tails, that is another option. I think it gets bulky, so I don't really like it, but it is an option too. So now you can see this is our foundation. We don't really have much of a pattern going yet, but we've started with the lines if you're looking at it, and we have, that's just a boring beginning. I'm sorry it's so boring. You'll have to be waiting on the edge of your seat for the next section. See you guys soon.